Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Listography. Today we're going to be looking at the catalog of Roxy Music. They've got 8 studio albums for us to rank. Roxy Music, of course, is the Bryan Ferry led glam rock band. Even though they started as a glam band, they evolved over the years, touching on everything from dance and R&B to disco and pop, synth pop, and adult contemporary music. So just 8 albums, but a lot of ground to cover. So let's get started at number 8 with the album Flesh and Blood. So Roxy Music's kind of a difficult band to rank for me. I really like all their records a lot. Flesh and Blood would be probably about a 7.5 out of 10 for me. The records up at the top of this list probably rank at about a 9. So you're looking only at about 1.5 point differential for 8 albums. So trying to sort out the order was really difficult on this list. I ended up having to put this one last. But what puts it at the bottom for me is that this record feels a little bit more like the start of Bryan Ferry's solo career than it does a Roxy Music album. The same can be said of Avalon, but Flesh and Blood isn't quite as lush and warm sounding as that record. Still, Flesh and Blood is a really good record and contains what is one of my all-time favorite songs, the track Over You. Moving up just a bit from there, at number 7 is their sophomore record, For Your Pleasure. This is a record that a lot of Roxy Music fans, I think, would put at number 1 or at least up in the top 3 or so. For many people, this is the essential Roxy Music record. The push-pull between Eno's more experimental tendencies and Ferry's more conventional pop sensibilities are at constant odds with each other on this record. At times, it makes for some interesting and groundbreaking rock and roll, The Bogus Man being the ultimate culmination of this. But for me, the biggest highlights on the record are the more traditional pop songs like Beauty Queen and Grey Lagoons. At number 6, I have For Your Pleasure's follow-up, Stranded. Without Brian Eno, Stranded is decidedly less experimental than their first 2 records. It's also a bit more subdued, but it does represent a shift towards more deliberate songcraft. This is something that they would get better at on subsequent albums, but Stranded is classic in its own right. Street Life, Mother of Pearl, and Amazona are my favorite tracks. At number 5, I have the final Roxy Music studio album, Avalon. Like Flesh and Blood, this record feels like Bryan Ferry has completely taken the reins, but with great success. The production is better than on Flesh and Blood. The songs are romantic and have a cinematic scope to them. More than this, the title track and Take a Chance with Me are all highlights from this record. At number 4, I have their self-titled debut record, Roxy Music. On For Your Pleasure, it often seems like Eno and Ferry are struggling against each other, pulling in opposite directions to create something new and interesting. It's occasionally successful, but on their debut, they are marvelously coexisting. The record is full of great songs with avant-garde tendencies that actually enhance them rather than pulling them in the other direction. On tracks like Remake, Remodel, and Virginia Plain, the blips and bleeps provided by Eno add to the ramshackle tracks like some great guitar feedback. At number 3, I have their 4th album, Country Life. This is a great record and a great progression from Stranded, continuing down the same path but better in nearly every way. Stronger, more concise songwriting, the performances are more engaging, and there's more sonic variety. I love the thrill of it all, 3 and 9, All I Want Is You, and Prairie Rose. At number 2, I have the album Siren. Roxy Music begins its shift away from its art rock and glam sound toward smoother sounds like dance, disco, R&B, and pop. Granted, I would still categorize this as a rock record, but other styles are starting to creep in their sound on this record. Styles that helped to accentuate Ferry's crooner persona. They make a very successful transition, as the album opener, Love is the Drug, is one of the best songs of their career. This album also just sounds better than the first 4 records do. As their musical approach shifts, it sort of leaves a sonic benefit as well. Quieter guitars and less chaotic arrangements give songs room to breathe a little more and allows for a mix that has a lot more clarity to it. And at number 1, I have the album Manifesto. This may be a strange pick as my favorite Roxy Music album. I'm sure most wouldn't put this in their top 3. A lot of people probably put it in the bottom few of their list. But for me, this album hits a certain sweet spot. Ferry's crooner is in full swing. Disco and R&B rhythms support great concise pop songs. But where their final 2 albums feel almost entirely like solo efforts for Ferry, Manifesto feels like a band effort. Even though it's a slick sounding record, it still sounds like a band that's playing live in the studio. It's also a perfect intersection of everything that was happening musically in 1979. You've got disco breathing its last gasp, new wave starting to bubble up, punk is happening, and this record has a little bit of all of those things. I also think it's the most consistent set of songs the band ever released. Trash, Angel Eyes, Still Falls the Rain, Dance Away, Cry, 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 Spin Me Round. Just a lot of great songs that I love on this record, and that's why I have it ranked at number 1 as my favorite Roxy Music record. But thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you hit the bell so that you get the notifications. And of course, comment below, let me know what you think of the list and what other videos you might like to see me do in the future. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next one.